Hello and welcome to another ride. Well, this one is a little bit different because we are actually going from the centre line of Telford right the way through to Ironbridge, so that's one of the southerly sections. So we've just started just under the bridge at OVERDALE at the bottom of sort of Rock Road, that kind of neck of the woods. And there's this track that comes along here, which is right the way along the side of the M54, which runs to the right hand side. There's a little bit of a pit mound on the left hand side, just out of view there. But we come around this corner now, and this brings us up onto the Great Western Railway. And this was the line that ran from Wellington all the way down to Craven Arms via the power station. But so you can see we're on a bit of a railway embankment, and the motorway actually split it in two completely. So let's tell you a little bit more about this area. Well, over to the left hand side there is a lot of open fields and stuff like that before OVERDALE, and it's classed, technically speaking, as Newdale really. And there was planning application went in a good few years ago to create some ponds and stuff like that, a bit of a wildlife area over to the left hand side. I don't know if that was ever done. There was plans for playing fields and stuff like that. I know they've probably done some drainage work on it, but this is such a lovely footpath. Over to the right hand side we've got the modern day LAWLEY village being built there. That particular area there is called Emerald Grove, which was being built by David Wilson Homes. It's almost like a little housing estate out on its own, and it's sort of separated by this big dip in the ground. You can see the footpath running across there into those open fields. So I'm not sure whether them fields are going to be built on eventually, but the house on the estate sort of up to the top left was actually built sort of early 2000 I would say, and that's quite a big development, and that was up on its own there for absolutely ages. But the sprawl of, and that's the word I will use, the sprawl of LAWLEY village just completely takes over this area. But actually what we've got to remember is a lot of this area was actually originally open cast mine, and an almighty deep hole on the right hand side was built there, dug out there for mining of coal, because it's very, very rich in the area. In very, very interesting. Obviously they've built houses now on top of that, but I can still remember that being a deep hole. But just remember, before all the houses came to LAWLEY, this was a main footpath. This was originally running through, and it was almost like walking in the country. But it's a lot busier these days because we've got obviously a lot of people walking from LAWLEY village, using it as a bit of a thoroughfare to get from A to B. But still, it's a really nice, much mature kind of way. So the railway itself that we're running along, that starts its journey in Wellington, and comes across, and then the first station is at Ketley, and the next station along here is Newdale Halt. Normally a halt is just maybe a platform without a building or something like that. Very kind of low key. But the area of Newdale, which we're actually, this is technically speaking what Newdale is now, is quite historic, because there was a small community here, and they also found a very, very, very early furnace here as well. So we're at Newdale Pool. Now this was built a long, long time before LAWLEY was ever here, and who knew they built this random pool down here that it ended up having this. The purpose of it was to build this big new village. So this footpath here that we're riding along now is actually the Wrekin Way, and that runs from over sort of near the Rock, Bell Pit Lane, that neck of the woods, and goes literally over towards the Wrekin. Quite a long distance footpath. Again, before LAWLEY village was even here, this was randomly running through here. And I suppose a lot of people have seen the change really along here, but these little paths now are so busy. So the housing estate on the right hand side, this is all part of Webb's Meadow and Forest Glen, built by Taylor Wimpey and David Wilson Homes. So these are the most famous multicoloured houses that they built on the village. That was a good few years ago. But actually, Lawley Village is just brimming with lots of open space. So this area here to the left hand side is one of Lawley's kind of village greens that they've got, if you like, and that's sort of separated by this housing estate that's on the right. That was actually built a long time before Lawley. Again, it was a housing estate that was in the middle of nowhere, quite literally, but you can actually see the swathes of green space between these multicoloured houses. But as I say, we've just got to come onto the road here now. And this estate here was built by Barrett a good few years ago, and this roundabout was put in. So this bit now we kind of have to go on the road itself. But you can see the houses. Look, those 3-storey rendered houses. Whether you like them or not, I really don't know. So on the right there, you can see coming up this modernist building is the nursery. But we're actually coming into what we call Lawley Square now, that kind of area where Morrison's is, etc. I mean, this is a little bit of a climb up here. And you can see if you've got an electric bike, it would be so much easier. But you can start to see a couple of key buildings now. You can see the back sort of front of Morrison's now, and you can see that industrial style roof that they've got there. Those multi-gabled roofs, really nice. A really nice industrial feature. On the left hand side, you can actually see the Grazing Cow. It's just a great name really for the pub, but you can actually see that beautiful split mono pitch on there, very modernist. Definitely the sort of architecture I would like to see more of in Telford, but absolutely it's a chain pub as well. On the right hand side we've got the fitness building. This is one of the buildings that you can see off this West Centre Way. So West Centre Way, now this was originally gonna be the east to west link road through Telford. Now it's actually been realigned. Originally it actually ran more where Morrison's is a bit further over where their car park was, and it ran to a roundabout at the bottom, part of the Western District Road. But you can start to see some of the other development there. You can see on the left hand side Taylor Wimpey has started building their development Thornbury Hill. It's quite interesting the name Thornbury Hill, because when years and years ago, before Lawley came, there was a development up there by Beezer which was called Thornbury Hill. Station Road is off to the left hand side, that'll take you up to Lawley, and this area is known as Hunter's, I think it's Hunter's Rise, I think it's called. The actual road's been renamed Hunter's Rise. That was built by Westbury a good few years ago. You can see one of a couple of these new type of nursing homes. What do they call them that anymore? And here we go again. So we are now on, this is part of a network of footpaths now. Originally this was just a big soil mound over the top of Lawley Common, and you could see the views in either direction. This is the sort of thing, this is the school boundary of the Lawley Academy School here on the right hand side, and Martindale Drive, Hunter's Rise is over to the left. Again, both areas, extensive mining. But more on the left hand side is what we actually call Lawley Common. Again, you can see this is a bit of a climb up. I think this is probably one of the last major hills on this route, really. On the right hand side, you can start to see the other new housing estates coming in now. This is the one that's kind of off that roundabout with the white church at LAWLEY. I think it was called Isabel Gardens, the development by Taylor Wimpey. I think it was shared by Persimmon as well. It's weird, isn't it? You've got these sort of two different paths coming up here that almost... Now, the houses on the right hand side, the Barratt houses, I have to say, are just a little bit dull and boring, really. You can see very dark brick. Yeah, when you have some of your most beautiful house types overlooking footpaths and open spaces. But we're kind of getting to what we call the brow of the hill now. And this is sort of split off by this compound, by this split compound by Persimmon Homes. But what it'll sort of do in a minute, it will give you you can see one of the final phases of LAWLEY here on the left. And this is the original LAWLEY Common. And a common ground, when you actually look at it, a common ground is somewhere where, you know, people can go, circuses, etc. You can use that common ground, and so you can see at the back there you've got Dawley Bank at the back, right up the top there, but that is, you know, planned for a very high density housing estate, which will probably started in 2021, I would imagine. But we're carrying up this road here. On the left hand side, we have got the new extension that's LAWLEY Village Station. So that was the original line of the railway, and unfortunately they would have loved to have pushed this railway forward, the Telford Steam Trust, but due to the level differences, as you can see, we're on a bit of a hill, the level differences and how much the land has altered around, unfortunately it was impossible to carry on the railway any further than they currently did. But they've got big plans to sort of carry the railway on south, which we will probably on this route take a look at and join on at some point. But you can see it's still a hell of a climb up here now. We'll keep going. You can see that typical TDC plant in there, those evergreens. I bet we're glad when we get to the top of this hill. And the path splits into two, but goes to the same place. It's all a little bit weird up here. I don't know where. You can just see through the bushes there on the right. The path's there again. But anyway, we're nearly up to the top of the hill. On the right hand side, we've still got all of the housing that comes right up into the corner. On the left hand side, we have the HORSEHAY tunnel. So not too far along the line there from HORSEHAY tunnel is HORSEHAY and Dawley station. That would have been Dawley's main railway station originally, and the little tunnel there. So it's good that the TSR were able to push the track to LAWLEY. I'm not sure how many people use that as a station, but it's I suppose it's just a terminus for them. Anyway, we're coming back down off that bank now, and this brings us on to the Dawley Road. Now this was the original road that ran from Kidderminster to Whitchurch, the A442 trunk road, which ran right through the centre of Dawley. This area we're in now is kind of what we call Heath Hill. So we are going to cross this road now, and we are going to go down what we call Spring Village, down into Spring Village. It's so busy around here. This was filmed during lockdown, so you can imagine this is a really rough pathway. This is, but this is the back way from Dawley Road if you were trying to get into HORSEHAY or Spring Village. On the right hand side was another vast area of open cast. Now that is actually a municipal golf course owned by our council. On the left hand side you can see that steep drop down there, that cutting, and that is the railway there, which will head into HORSEHAY and Dawley station. Spring Village is a real sort of hidden gem in Telford, and actually when they were sort of promoting Telford as historic areas. Spring Village actually had a leaflet all of its own, but very busy now. Look at it now. So Spring Village is a collection of really old workers' cottages that TDC saved. I mean, they could have got rid of them, but there's a lot of little houses down here, a lot of self-built plots and stuff like that. It's just a very, very quiet community to live in. You can see the housing on basically most of these properties overlook the golf course, which you can see is running to the right. You can see the golf course is actually huge. It's bordered by the Dawley Road, but also the Wellington Road on the other side. So you can see these little informal lanes, these big high hedges, etc., and these beautiful old cottages and stuff that run along here. You can see they're only single track lanes, but I suppose a lot of people like to come down here. It's a bit oldie and at least you can just sort of place you can go and have a bit of a wander around, I suppose. So here we are, now we're properly in what we call Spring Village now. You can see on the right hand side those really old cottages there, those sort of workers' cottages. This is HORSEHAY Pool. Now HORSEHAY Pool's been here for such a long time, and it was originally a sort of reservoir because there's been a lot of foundries, ironworks, and also the mighty AB Cranes was here originally. And places like that need a hell of a lot of water, and there was a huge dam wall on the other side, which you'll see. So here is Spring Village, or this particular part of the road is called Poolside. So these are old workers' cottages, these are, that were saved by Telford Development Corporation, and they're absolutely beautiful, little stunning little cottages, they really are. So the cottages to the right hand side was actually known as New Row, which they sort of directly look over the pool, and its actual the name of this road is Pool View. You can see there's really extended terrace of cottages here. They really are quite cute with a little gable window. Right in front of us now would have been, towering above us would have been the AB Cranes factory. Now AB Cranes was a really heavy industry, and Dawley itself had quite a lot of decent industry back in the day. And AB Cranes, they made bridges. Well, it started off making bridges, etc., and they were exported all over the world. On the left hand side is the old the old offices and stuff like that. Look, this building here to the left, and that's only been recently converted into residential properties. But AB Cranes as well, obviously in the title, they actually manufactured heavy duty cranes as well. And we are going to take a left turn in, which is the route of this is kind of like a little new bit of road that they put in here. So as we come up, this is still this is Bridge Road, which is the same as basically the road we just came down. That leads on to Station Road. And as we come up, you can see some of these little old cottages, but the Wellington Road sort of comes from the sort of right hand side now across straight ahead, and a couple of pubs along there on that Wellington Road. One of them is the Old Labour in Vain, which a lot of people would probably remember. So again, you can see along here, this is Woodhouse Lane, you can see a lot of the old cottages and stuff like that along here. This would have been the road which would have taken us down into Doseley and then on to Lightmoor. Then you would have been able to go straight up then into Woodside. So it's quite a, well, it would have been Woodside back in the day. It would have been Madeley, so it's quite a long road. This is really. Again, from here you would have easily have seen the aircraft hangar style site of AB Cranes. This was kind of like the back entrance, but you can just see the other warehouse there that they've built. On the right hand side is Falcon's Rest. That's where the other side of Doseley Park is by David Wilson. But down here, down this road, we've got a mix of properties here, old, a couple of new ones thrown in. But it's you can just see the old stone walls here. It's quite an historic area, really. So the right hand side, then you could probably see that palisade fence. Down there is a huge big hole. It was the old Johnston's quarry there, which is basically just filled up with water now and is a big lagoon. But we're coming down the hill now. You can see we're getting down here now. Few little industrial estates just down here on the right hand side. I think they've kind of finished now. They've been sold off to private housing developers. So you know, that industry is leaving Doseley day by day, week by week. You can see these beautiful cottages. You know, there's quite a lot of them, isn't there, along here. But we're coming down to the sort of bottom of the hill now, and then you can see the bridge there. Just under that bridge is the Cheshire Cheese. That takes you back up into Dawley. And the railway is on the top there, that Great Western Railway. So we're coming into sort of Frame Lane now, St Luke's Road, that kind of neck of the woods. And on the right hand side, you can see the David Wilson Homes development, Doseley Park. And Doseley Park was built on the site of the original Johnston Pipes, another heavy industry area for here. Like I say, it was quite, there was quite a few big firms here that employed quite a lot of people. So this part of the lane here, you can see that there's a lot of new houses have been sort of slotted in, and the development of Doseley Park, that's actually been echoed with a lot of the finishes on the older cottages, like the lintel stones, etc., have been copied and replicated on the new houses that are being built today. It would probably be nice for them to do it on a lot of these self-build properties here, because they resemble nothing like what was built here before. So here is the crossing now. So this is where the GWR line crossed. You can just see the rails in the road there. And this takes us into Gravel Leasowes. Now, Gravel Leasowes is a really old, quaint village, and back in its day, the Holly Lane, that neck of the woods, it was really, really dilapidated squatters' cottages. They really were. Just, you could build your own cottage, etc. And there's quite a lot of those down here. And one of them was actually moved to the Bliss Hill Museum. So quite an historic area, really nice to come and have a kind of look down. So we're just coming now along here now, so we're actually back on that Great Western Railway, and we're just sort of safe of what we call Doseley Holt. Now you can actually see the Shropshire Canal on the left hand side in the dip there, the old Shropshire Canal. It kind of just leaves us a little bit further up, but this is one of the reasons why railways like to buy the old canal beds and stuff, because they are reasonably level and all they've got to be done is filled in. So we are travelling along the old railway line now. As you can see, it's quite narrow and overgrown, but this is actually due to be cleared because the Telford Steam Railway, they have permission to reinstate the railway for pleasure purposes and link it back up onto the onto the line that is the former power station line. So potentially getting goods back into, passengers back into the gorge. This is potentially going to be a little gold mine for them, really. But on a bike, it is a bit rough and narrow here, as you can see. Especially in the winter months, it is really muddy, and I mean, look, it's dried up a little bit here, but you can see it's still very, very wet in places. You can see that orange. Can you see that orange iron ore that's in the water there? That's iron ore is a mineral that's in the ground, really, and that washes down off the bank, because at the bank on the left hand side you can just see it. That was originally the scrapyard, and you used to come along here and see old tyres and stuff like that strewn down. But coming into view in a minute, I think we just passed it actually, is the old Lightmoor, self-built village. So this is Lightmoor Road. We're crossing that now, and we are into a much wider part of the road. Railway line. If you go left there, you can just see that left. That takes you back up to sort of Dawley Pools, that neck of the woods. And so we're actually on the line now. So it's a lot better surfaced here. But if you actually look carefully as you come along this little sort of track, you can actually see some old bits of railway line still embedded in the ground. Now we are actually up on an embankment now, and down on the right hand side there's a bit of a drop there, and there's some nice little pools and stuff down there to have a little wander around. So it's quite a short section of the railway this is, and it sort of ends abruptly here, and the Telford Steam Railway want to try and get across the Eastern Primary from here, which will take a lot of land modelling, but they've actually bought a bridge that's going to go across that Eastern Primary, the Ironbridge bypass that's there. But until then, we will have to make do with going under the subway. It's a bit of a steep slope down here, so I have to take it a little bit steady. But if you take a right hand there, that'll take you into those little pools and stuff like that, and then onto the bypass. But we're just heading back up, but we're actually going to take an immediate right in a minute, which is the actual Ironbridge way. We're back on it, look. Now on the left hand side is the ground of Moore's Farm, one of the only surviving farm areas, really. I don't even think they even farm there anymore. But this is the underpass of Doom, look, you can see on the Ironbridge Way as you go. So this is a nice little sort of woody, sort of brackety random area here that we're coming through, and this lane actually takes us onto Rough Park Way. So a lot of these paths crisscross each other and end up meeting up with each other, but again, it's more of a track than a path, I would say. You can see it's fairly muddy, and we are meeting the railway now. This is the BUILDWAS, the power station line. So we're actually there's nowhere across this if you've got a bike. You've just got to lift it up and chuck your bike over. That's the easiest way to do this. At the moment the railway is disused, but this is I think this is the only crossing on this railway suitable, but you can see the paddocks there at Rough Park, which is what we're going to go down to. So we're still on the Ironbridge Way, and again, it's not very cycle friendly, really, but I suppose a lot of this has been done because of the amount of motorbikes that are scrambled around here. It's not that great, but here we go, Rough Park. Now this is the only little field you see horses in here from time to time. I'm not sure if there's any in here today, But if you follow this track now, this will take us right up to Woodside Avenue. But we're not going to take that way. We're actually going to take a right turn in at the crossroads and head onto Rough Park Way. So like I say, we take a right turn in now and we are on Rough Park Way. It's actually a bridle way. So you can actually see on the left hand side all of these paddocks for the horses, and we need to remember that a lot of this area was all owned by the Rough Park Riding School, which was just on Woodside Avenue, and they had a lot of land here for grazing horses. You can see a lot of the paddocks now still being used, and it's just nice that they've been retained. You can see on the right hand side that amazing TDC planting there, this sort of landscape buffer that's sort of between here and the railway. I just think, you know, it's a nice sort of summer's day here, and don't these paddocks look really nice with the fencing and all of the green space? You know, we are quite lucky in Telford to have that sort of thing here. So the pathway now turns around to the right, then it swings around to the left, and this brings us on to Brickkiln Lane. Now Brickkiln Lane was a lane that ran from Lightmoor, the top of Lightmoor, sort of Little Dawley end, and that took you right through into Madeley down Park Street. So we'll take a left here and then it's an immediate right onto Rough Park Way. Unfortunately, there's not a great way of getting your bike through this little section here. Look, they've got that little gate, but that's quite narrow. Again, we've still got paddocks here on the left-hand side. So we're on this nice stretch. It's a nice, beautiful day today, nice blue sky, and we're heading still down on Rough Park Way. So we've still got the railway to the right of us, and this is a good little path. This is gets quite busy in the summer months, and you can just see it's a nice hazy sunshine day. So coming up on the left hand side is the first sort of section of Oilhouse Coppice, which runs along here to the left, and on the right hand side in a minute there is a small track that runs back on itself, and that takes you back to onto Brickkiln Lane just a little bit further up. You can see it is quite busy now. You can see the little finger post for that now. So at the side of us now is a small water course. Now that is the source of that water is up in Lightmoor. And a lot of parts of Lightmoor Village filter off into there. Now this sort of watercourse follows this pathway pretty much all the way down until it opens up into Newpool. And originally where Newpool was, there was actually a causeway across it where the canal came down off the Brierley Hill, the Brierley Hill section of the Shropshire Canal. So you can see this is quite a decent path. It's quite wide. It's surfaced. It isn't too bad. It's surfaced. Now you can see there's another culvert there. That's now added more water to this, and you can start to see the top of Woodside now. I mean, Woodside is in the area of Coalbrookdale. Now this does start to get a little bit narrow down here, so it's a bit of a pain when you're a cyclist and you do meet somebody down here. You can start to see Newpool appearing on the right hand side now. These pools were all part of the Abraham Darby furnaces. They managed the water in such a way that it was used to run mills, etc. A very historic group of watercourses really, and there's a bit of a weir as well, and that's now if you take a right, it's just down here. There's a weir, So you can start to see the houses appearing now as we come into Coalbrookdale. And that sort of will bring us on to School Road. So you can see now on the right there, that takes you to the weir that I was talking about. You can stand there, but also you can carry on up the pathway, and then that will actually take you up to the Cherry Tree Hill. So as we come down here, we now are on to School Road. I don't know whether there was a school up there or not, but yeah, so this is School Road, and there is School Road green there. And also there's a play area just off School Road to the right, just out of view. Nice little play area here, and this actually brings us on to what we know as the Wellington Road, which is basically the road from Ironbridge, the Ironbridge to Wellington Road, and just on the left there, as we've just seen, is the Coalbrookdale community centre. So the car park to the left on the community centre opens up some parking areas there for the Coalbrookdale ward courses. So we're going under the viaduct now. I'm going to take a left turn in. Okay, so you can see this viaduct. This carries the power station railway above the top here. Obviously we know the railway is closed now, so the line is disused. However, a year or two back they had the Cluncastle come right down here into here, which was quite spectacular looking at that going over the viaduct. On the left hand side is the Museum of Iron, Coalbrookdale Museum of Iron, and that's closed due to COVID at the time. I think we're during a lockdown, but we're coming up here up this incline now, and you can see that it sort of gets in line with the railway now, and the railway is running off to the left hand side. It's a bit of a climb, this is. Nice, lovely, nice summer lane this is to ride up. And you've got some roads and tracks going off to the right hand side, and the area to the right hand side is known as Stret Hill, but we're actually right on the edge of the Coalbrookdale Valley, you see, and just think that this whole valley has been cut out by the Dingle, the Loamholme Brook, which would have been probably a river back in its time, but you'll start to see in a minute a left turning which will start to take you back down and through a nice sort of woodland ridge walk, which will take you down into Smallwoods and the Greenwood Centre, etc. So it's a bit of a, like I say, it's a bit of a climb, it's not a lot more rewarding when you get up to the top. There you go, see that little track there going off to the left there? That'll take you down to Smallwoods. Really nice sort of woodland footpath there, something a little bit different. As you can see, Stret Hill, if you look to the right, you can see that high ground, which is Stret Hill. And once you've made it to the top of this hill, then you can at least enjoy a downward slope. So the right turning takes you up to Stret Hill and the farm that's up there. So we're nearly up there now, look. I can see why there's a crash barrier there, because actually there's an absolute steep drop that side. I think we can all see the brow of the hill now. You can just see that now coming into view, so we won't be too far before we start dropping down. But actually from up here you can actually get a great view of the other side of the valley. And you can see the church up there. It is very, very picturesque. You know, well, it looks like we're going down now. No crash barrier here. Look, well, when you get to the top and you think, yes, right. So here we go. We're going for it now. I don't know why there's no crash barrier here. But as we head down now, it's just a little bit more scenic than whipping down the Wellington Road. And actually, like I say, this time of day, it's this time of the year, it's really, really nice. I think this is sort of early summer. This is, like I say, we're flying down here now. You will start to see the Greenwood Centre and Cafe, but also the coracle shed has been relocated here down in the sort of dip there, so that's a really nice place to kind of stop off if you wanted to. But also, as I said, it's also the home of Telford Woods, who are a great team of guys who are managing a lot of Telford woodland. We can start to see now Benthall Edge appearing in the sort of background there, and you can see that's quite a big ridge really, isn't it? A ridge of sandstone. So we're going back under the railway line now. So this is the power station line, and this, it's not too far away now to the power station. Like I say, it's a single road here. We have now reached the end of our bike ride, and we have reached Ironbridge. Join us soon with Telford History by Bike.